Hello, and a very good morning from Belgrade here in Serbia, where we've arrived for our UEFA Conference League first leg qualifier with FK Partizan. My name's Gamritu, and you're listening to Good Morning from Belgrade, which is a brand new podcast that we're trialling out here as we follow Hibs on the roads. The idea of the podcast is to try and bring supporters a little bit closer to the action out here. And for our first episode, I'm just going to set the scene for you. We're sat inside the team hotel at the Hyatt Residency here in Belgrade, and to preview this one, I'm delighted to be joined alongside John Greechan from the Edinburgh Evening News and supporter liaison officer Kieran Power. John, Kieran, how are you guys?
Grand. You still haven't learned how to pronounce my name.
How
After all these years, it's Greechan.
Greechan.
Thank you.
Right,
let's just start with that one.
Let's cut it all off and start again. John Greechan, how are you?
I'm absolutely grand, thank you. Been here since Tuesday night. It's been very nice and warm. And yeah, it's been an interesting city. Been here before, but it's fascinating. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the history about the place. So yeah, not just the inside of pubs so far.
Have you seen many Hibs fans when you've been out here yet, or?
Like a handful last night, just where we were staying down near the main square. There was a handful walking around, and then we were actually finished eating at a place, and a larger kind of family group came in. It was quite late, and they'd clearly just come off a flight and were needing some food. And it could have. I think the tavern owner could have said, "Oh no, I'm shutting up," and she was like, "Listen, come in, I'll get you something." Sorted out. So very welcoming so far.
Yeah, I think over the last kind of 24 hours or so, there's been a few more Hibs fans kind of making themselves known in Belgrade. Kieran, you'll be able to tell us about that. How many are we expecting here tonight?
Yeah, so we're expecting about 300 to 350 Hibs supporters over the next 24 hours, and I would say about a third of them are here at the moment, and they're in good voice and in fine fettle.
You were out with them last night. How was that?
Yeah, it was good. So they wanted to sing their songs, they wanted to sing about David Gray, and Hibs being away. So yeah, it's been on repeat. It's all good, yeah.
All right, nice. And we'll talk a little bit about the travel and the game and preview that in a bit. But obviously the club celebrated our 150th birthday yesterday. Plenty of stuff going on in and around Edinburgh. John, 150 years of Hibs, it's a massive achievement.
Yeah, I think it's something that we take for granted in British and Scottish football in particular, the sheer history of the clubs that we've got. And as you travel abroad, you go to Michelin, founded in 1999 and things like that, you kind of, as I say, take it for granted. But it's an amazing thing for the club to have, you think of everything that's gone through there, wars and crises and, geez, even the COVID thing that threatened so many clubs, to come through it all in such good health is remarkable. And it was the first thing that the Partizan coach said at his press conference last night, which was, I wish my happy birthday to Hibernian on 150 years, a remarkable achievement.
Oh, nice one. And KP, you were on the 150th working group. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of your role within that and how some of these events all kind of came to fruition?
Yeah, so the working group's been a couple of years in planning, and we've managed to pull together a number of initiatives and activations that should hopefully resonate with Hibs supporters and try to capture the imagination of every different kind of Hibs supporter. And the exhibition yesterday was one of the main ones, I would say. So we've obviously announced that the museum's going to be another one. We've got the standard sort of cyclical stuff like anniversary strips. So there's a bit of everything for someone. And yeah, just hopefully that we can get a result this week, which would cap off a fantastic birthday for the football club.
Yeah, definitely. There was plenty going on yesterday. There was the event at St Mary's Street Hall, and then there was the celebration dinner as well. It was a busy day for everyone at the club. We were at the event yesterday along with plenty of representatives from the club. The Lord Provost was there. Sky Sports was there, Ian Gordon was there doing a speech and stuff like that, and then it was straight on the plane to head here to Belgrade. Looking at the game then, John, how do you expect this one panning out? I know you were here a couple of days earlier and you did the Partizan press conference. What was the kind of messages coming out of their camp?
Yeah, we've done enough of these over the years that we've got a shorthand for it. We say a foreign coach roughly says, "We fear the Scots, they fight like lions." There's some variation on that no matter what country you're in, right? There's this vision of Scotland, oh, they're very aggressive, very intense, and direct, and it's free kicks, and they all say the same thing over the years, almost regardless of which team you're there reporting on or whatever. It doesn't. They can be 20 different styles of football, but that's pigeonholed right away. Oh, they're going to be intense. And like, there's a kernel of truth in that, because again, something we take for granted is the intensity of our football. And sometimes you watch some of the European teams and you get, they're a little bit lackadaisical. You know, they're beautiful footballers, but they're not actually, you know, bare knuckle, teeth bared, you know, they're fighting for everything. So they were trying to play the whole, we're just a young team, still building, you know, not very experienced, but we're getting better all the time. It's not that young. I think the average age is 24 in the squad, but they have had to rebuild and they're kind of bringing players through. Actually, I had a look as well. I've done a bit of like opposition analysis on it using Y-Scout and stuff. They're quite patient at times. The boy Vukotic, number 11, is a really dangerous player. Their plan is to get him in space on the ball and he'll do things. He doesn't need to be in space. He could probably beat you in a telephone box because he's got really good feet. But yeah, so they're an interesting team. They'll give up chances though. I don't think the keeper and the back four are always on the same wavelength. I think if you press and harry them, they can't play 4-3-3, 4-1-4-1, so that'll cause problems against the three at the back, but also opens up some opportunities. And I'm sure David Gray will have had a dossier thicker than the old yellow pages on what he's going to do. And it was funny, something their coach said last night. He was asked about, oh, can you surprise them? And he said, look, in the age of Y-Scout and everything, and scouts, and we've sent a scout, they've sent scouts, there's no secrets. He said, but that doesn't matter. That's not the important thing. The important thing is what the coach comes up with as a counter plan. So I think that's going to be interesting. And we've seen Dave Gray mixes it up a little bit in games, doesn't he? It's not all the one way. Sometimes it's a different approach. So it'll be interesting to see how they start.
You mentioned they're obviously saying that maybe quite a young, inexperienced team, or the manager is certainly saying that. But as a club, they've got plenty of European pedigree over the years, having gone deep into tournaments and are kind of regulars in, you know, Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League qualifiers as well.
Yeah, it's just, well, I don't think it's going too far. So they're one of the kind of the great names that everyone recognises right away from years gone by. They've got that reputation. They had some issues over the last 4 or 5 years. You know, the ownership, the leadership wasn't very good. They made some really bad signings, big money spent, it didn't work out at all, left them in financial crisis. So they are still in that rebuilding phase. But as you say, it's great. I think it's great if you're competing in Europe and you get a team that you've heard of, a team that you know, as opposed to, right, I need to look up what country they're in. It's not, and name changes and everything. Although I do remember when Red Star suddenly started appearing in all the UEFA draws as Cervena Vizela, whatever how you pronounce it. Sorry, I'm going to get thrown out of this country if I say that again, because it's a terrible. When I turned up at my hotel on Tuesday night, and I said to the guy, oh, how far to the Partizan Stadium? He says, well, firstly, you should go to the Red Star Stadium. So I think there's a bit of rivalry in here.
Yeah, definitely. We made it to the Partizan Stadium yesterday, straight off the plane towards the stadium. Managed to get a real good look at it, got out onto the pitch and stuff. KP, is it your first time here in Serbia? And what did you make of that experience? Because it is a kind of totally brand new stadium. It had that kind of real European feel to it.
Yeah, it's probably what I would class as an old school stadium, so supporters are going to feel nostalgic going into a stadium like this. It's going to be an atmosphere that's unrivaled probably from any travel that we've had in recent times. Speaking to some of the older generation of supporters, even them, they're looking forward to this, and this is a massive tick box bucket list item for them. So they're going to enjoy it. It's going to be hostile, but it's something that's going to give not just Hibs but Scottish football a good test of where everything is at the moment. Hibs are a good team, so let's see how we get on today to see where Hibs are at, but also Scottish football. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing the most.
In terms of the stadium and the pitch, like I'm obviously no expert at all, but from looking at the pitch, it did look quite, I'm not sure if they hadn't watered it or whatever, it did look quite long and heavy, sticky and heavy. Do you think that will play a part tonight?
I think so. It's like, to be honest, I'm pretty sure in Scottish football we're used to all kind of stadia and pitches, so I'm sure it's something that we can adapt to quite quickly. But yeah, it does look very heavy. It's something that you would see maybe on a Sunday League pitch, if I'm being very so kind.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And in terms of your trips away with Hibs, I know I'm just looking at your arms there. You got Hibs tattoos everywhere. You've been everywhere with supporters. From your, I don't know, 12 hours or so here in Belgrade, how does this kind of compare to some of the other places you've been?
It's certainly different. It's not like the Faroes, it's not like Norway, it's not like Sweden, it's not like Denmark, but it's very European, so it's just, it's hard to describe, I suppose. It's just very European is how I would describe it, to be honest. There's no other way to say it. It's like you feel it when you're walking around the city. It's like any other European city. Yeah, it's hard to describe, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. John, I know you've covered Hibs, you've covered Scottish football for many years across the continent, across the world. Does this one feel any different to you, or is this kind of just a classic trip for you in your career?
They all kind of blur at some point, I suppose. But I was here 2012, I think, so it was different then. It was slightly more on edge then.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little more, feels a little friendlier and kind of more warm in the welcome this time. Interesting town though. I did some stuff out at the Fortress yesterday, and that's just a fascinating place. We were chatting earlier about it, how not just, it's kind of like if you imagine Edinburgh Castle, but then you decided to put in all these tanks and vehicles from, you know, First World, Second World War, right up through. So there's a whole lot of history here. Quite an interesting place. In terms of like you say, traveling all over the place, that you kind of get into a rhythm of it, don't you?
Yeah.
You kind of, the players will be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the amount of players I've interviewed over the years, and guys you speak to once they've finished playing and they've travelled all over the world and seen nothing, because they literally go hotel, stadium, flight, home. All right, that was good.
Yeah.
Well, that was Belgrade then, was it?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's like the only thing that I can sort of put on a par with trips that we've had in the past is Athens and then Tripolis. So it's like our trips to Greece is the only thing that compares to in recent times that Hibs supporters have had, because it's nothing like Faroes, nothing like Denmark, Sweden. It feels a bit more like Greece, so it's obviously more of an Eastern European feel, but it's certainly more welcoming than what people would expect.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's only the first leg, but where would a result, if we managed to get a positive result today, where would that rank in terms of Hibs results in Europe, would you say, KP?
Certainly it would be up there, because if you look at teams coming here, they seem to sort of, I wouldn't say crumble, but they certainly seem to struggle with the atmosphere here. So if Hibs were to get a positive result, it would certainly rank quite highly in the results, certainly in modern times. But yeah, it certainly would be up there, yeah.
You mentioned the atmosphere and I think plenty of people will have seen all the kind of YouTube videos and some of the passion that comes from Serbian football fans in general. How important is it that we manage those kind of emotions and expectations in those kind of first 10, 15 minutes, just to kind of get to grips with the tie? Because it is a long tie at the end of the day, 2 legs over 180 minutes.
Yeah, you know what, it's like, if something doesn't go for you in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, then I suppose it's making sure that you stay resilient and persevere, that you're not going to, well, using that word again, crumble, that you don't crumble, and it's because the tie's not finished. So if you do lose an early goal, it's like, that's okay. The game plan's still the same. You just continue to dig deep and making sure that the tie's still alive going into the second leg. I'm fairly positive this team's capable of making sure they get a positive result, whatever that may be, to take it into the second leg.
Mm-hmm. John, just on that, how important is it that we do kind of manage the emotion levels, particularly at the start of the game?
Yeah, David Gray's spoken about that, really, about when he talks about discipline, he doesn't mean don't get a stupid red card, although that's part of it. The discipline is your discipline of thought and movement and staying in shape without the ball if things get a bit hairy, if things get a bit, you know, not off the pitch, but just on the pitch. If the game starts to run away a little bit, there are ways they'll have of just resetting. Look, let's do this, give ourselves a platform and then get back into it. I'm not sure, it's a really hard one to call, because you know, on the one hand, they destroyed that, excuse me, Ukrainian team in the last round. But again, Ukrainian teams finding it hard, not playing at home, etc. But Larnaca knocked them out in the Europa League, and Larnaca, who can end up facing in the next round as well. But Larnaca, I mean, I've got a mate who spends half his year out in Cyprus and is a PAFO season ticket holder, and he says Larnaca not all that in terms of a European. He didn't think it would be a huge challenge. So I think even this season, these Partizan are developing. The coach also said something last night. He said all the data, so I'm not going to give you the details, but some of the intensity stuff has doubled from the start of the season to the last game they played. So they're clearly growing into it. I think that's going to be interesting to see how you would expect, and I think coaches would expect your team to improve. I think Hibs, there's every chance you'll see their best performance of the season tonight because they're 3 games into it now, and they've started to get those like competitive juices flowing. Just that little sharpness that you can't get from pre-season games.
Yeah, definitely. We're just seeing a few of the players walk past here in the hotel. You mentioned that, John, in terms of like people come to City, but you just spend all the time in the hotel. It's still another 11 hours or so until kick-off here, local time. KP, just for the supporters that are out here, can you just give us a little update on what the kind of plans are, where the meeting points are? I know there's a few supporter buses and stuff like that. So for supporters maybe listening to this and not knowing what to do, what would your advice be to them?
Yeah, so we've got our base set up very similar to Denmark, that we're in a pedestrianised area. It's called the Gecko Bar, which seems to be the hub for Hibs supporters. So it's stereotypical of Scottish people or Irish people to locate an Irish bar pretty straight off the plane, and that's what Hibs supporters have done, and that's what we've steered them towards. But then nearby, a 5-minute walk, is the Student Square, which is what our Serbian friends recommend as the rendezvous point, and that's where buses are going to be put on for supporters, running at 7 o'clock local time to take supporters to the stadium, and then it'll be the same on the way back. Very much a similar setup to how other teams have come here in the past, so Tottenham and Rangers being the most recent, Man United and Liverpool also. So we'll be looked after. It's certainly welcoming, but the advice is to supporters is to stick to the city centre, and then travel will be put on for you should you wish to use so. But if not, alternatively, the transport here is free to use if you're not using express buses. Belgrade's the first European city to make it free to travel for residents and tourists, which is amazing.
Wow, certainly done your research there.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, and as you said, it's about 400 odd fans or so, yeah. So head to those two squares and you'll be looked after.
You just call them odd fans?
400 fans, not odd fans. We're unique, but yeah, we'll be in fine voice. 400 of us. When I was going to see them last night, you could start to hear them as you got within about 300 metres of them, and I'm sure that'll be the exact same today. We'll be in fine voice. You'll hear us before you see us. Yeah,
nice one. And we'll be down there with our Hibs TV cameras as well, so if you are there, make sure you come and say hello. Right, just about everything we've got time for this morning. But before we go, I just want to get your score predictions and how you see this one panning out. John, we'll start with you.
5-4. So just to have this theory, but whenever I ask you a score prediction, go mad with it, because imagine you get it right. You go, oh, that guy's a genius. No, fine margins. 1 goal either way, maybe.
Make sure that we take the tie back to Easter
Road. Oh,
Road.
yeah, I think so. And like, I don't think anyone who was at Easter Road last Thursday night, could have gone away not impressed with how that was. Not certainly Grant Hanley was, clearly. Didn't take him long to sign after that. So that's, take it back alive. But I wouldn't put past the possibility they get a win here tonight, which would be, a remarkable achievement in the whole history of Scottish clubs in European football. But I think it's not out with the bounds of possibility.
Yeah. KP?
What I expect is probably a score draw, so 1-1. But however, the Hibs juggernaut will continue, and in my head, this will be one of Hibs' best results in Europe, and I am going to say 3-0 Hibernian.
3-0 Hibernian. John's having a bit of a coughing fit at the moment. So I think that's
Yeah, when you said 3-0, I wasn't going
that's a good point.
spray water everywhere. What?
A good point to leave it there. If you're listening at home in terms of how you can watch the match, there's a live screening of the game at Easter Road. I think that is sold out at the moment, but the action is streamed live on Solid Sport. It costs £12 to watch that, and there'll be a link on our website. Thank you very much for listening to Good Morning from Belgrade. It's the first time we've done it, so let us know what you thought in the comments, and fingers crossed that we'll get a positive result tonight. Thank you for listening, and see you soon.